Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our live tour of Bixby Marshland. My name is Maria Rosales Ramirez, and I will be your moderator today. We're going to give it a few minutes for people to join us. So in the meantime, why don't you put in the chat where you're joining us from? If this is the first time that you're joining us here, and maybe how you hear about us. So let's give it a couple minutes. Thank you. All right, let's see who we have here. We have Carrie from Alhambra, and this is the second time you join us. Thank you for coming back. And we have Chris, who says that I did a presentation for the students. That's cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Someone says they heard us from next door, but it could have been LA County Libraries. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're very excited that you're here joining us. We still have some people coming in, so let's give it another minute. And I also want to thank everybody who gets my emails. This is Maria who sent you the email, so thank you. Polly, you have a question. Let's see what. Polly, do you want to share your question?
Hello.
Hi, Polly. Good morning. This is Maria.
It isn't actually a question. I'm not quite sure how a question appeared, but I'm in Derbyshire in England.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for joining
us. But all wildlife reserves are grist to the mill to me. I volunteer at several in England.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to get started because we are actually ready to go. So let's go ahead and everybody, let's mute. Thank you, Polly. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go through a little bit of some logistics first. This broadcast is being recorded, and we're going to be posting it on YouTube later today. I'll be putting messages and links and information on the chat. Please use Zoom's Q&A feature to put in your questions or raise your hand, and we'll do our best to answer questions as we go. So let's see, for those of you unfamiliar with our Bixby tours, the Sanitation Districts has been doing these tours since 2009, always on the first Saturday of every month from 8 to 12. And obviously with the pandemic, our marsh is closed to the public. So we try to bring to you the next best thing, which is a virtual tour. And a little bit later, we're going to be going live to our team that's actually at Bixby Marshland. And we're going to try to do our best to give you a live experience of Bixby, but obviously, you know, your experience in Bixby depends on the time of day, the time of year. So I just highly encourage you to always come back, and we'll be sure be announcing it when we reopen to the public again, so you can join us in person. So let's see. How are we gonna? Okay, so before we get started, before we go live to our live team, I do want to show you guys some slides just to put some things into perspective. So let's get that going. So Bixby Marshland. Bixby Marshland is right here. We see her in yellow, and we're actually, your guys are virtually standing right here. So this is in the city of Carson. You see the 110 freeway south right here. And this is the Sepulveda going east-west, and Figueroa going north-south. We're probably only 7 miles away from the ocean. And if you're from the area, this is where the target is, right around here. So you may be wondering, why is there a marsh there? And why is the sanitation district involved? So sanitation districts serves 78 million people in LA County. We have we do wastewater and solid waste services. And our largest wastewater facility, the Joint Water Pollution Control Plant, is located right here in Carson. So you could see the boundaries in yellow. This facility has been operating since 1928. And when we were expanding, we kind of took over restoring the marsh, which you could see it's like right next to it. Now, the marsh itself was here before anybody was here. You could see this old picture of the marsh, black and white, but you could see how large the area is. And over time, as the city grew, the marsh shrunk and shrunk. So we actually started renovation efforts back in 1995 to restore the marsh to the health and beauty that you see today. Another thing I want you guys to know about marshes, before I was familiar with Bixby, I always picture that marshes were just water and reeds and ducks, but marshes actually have 3 distinct areas, which is what we see on the screen here. We have the aquatic part, which has the water, and riparian, which is kind of like the in between the land and the water, and the vegetation there changes there as well. And then we have the upland, which is the drier part, and we see grasses and shrubs. So all these things kind of make up what we know as a marsh. And the things we see, the plants and the animals that we see, kind of vary depending on which area of the marsh you are. So with that, I am actually going to hand it over to our live team on site. We have Nathan Hike, Basil Hewitt, and Genesis Rodriguez. They are my friends, and we are so excited to bring you Bixby Marshland. I'm going to replace the spotlight. Take it away, guys. Good morning. Unmute yourself, Nathan.
Sorry. Good morning. My name is Nathan Hike. I'm a systems analyst at the LA County Sanitation District, but I've been a bird watcher since I was 15 in high school when I had to take a bird walk for honors biology. I've been doing it ever since. And so I wanted to volunteer today because today's pretty much May 1st, and it's probably the best day of the year to go bird watching at Bixby. And so we came out here about 2 weeks ago and did a bird walk, and we're gonna do a bird tour today. But I want to start with some slides and explain why today is such a special day. Okay, so the focus of today's presentation is spring migration 2021, and we're doing it here. And birds basically migrate twice a year in response to changes in food. Birds want to move wherever the resources are, and when it's cold up in the northern latitudes, all the bugs die. When it's cold in the northern latitudes, all the bugs die, and the plants die off, and then there's not as much food, so the birds go south, and then in the summertime they go back north. But birds can move in more than one way. They don't just necessarily move north. Warmer or more food might be going from the mountains to the valleys, or it might be going from the inland areas to the out to the coast. The ocean is like a big heat sink, and it keeps it cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. And so there are different migration patterns or styles of birds. So one is I'm going to show you. One is a permanent resident. Okay, so a bird like a common raven is a it doesn't move around. It just stays in one place. So birds like this, they're happy with the food in their current location. They have a territory. They're set. They don't feel a need to move. But other birds, they adjust. So a bird like an Anna's hummingbird here, it moves, like for example, in California, it moves up into the Sierra Nevada in the summer, and then up at the northern end of the range, it'll move up it'll actually go north in the winter to the coast, which is cooler. But down at the southern end, the birds will go into Mexico. So things don't always have to be, um, things don't always have to be north to be warmer. But then, other birds start going further. Like a red-shouldered hawk might go 1,500 miles um, into Mexico, or 1,000 miles into Canada. And these are medium distance migrants. So they move 2 to 3 states um, from their normal territories. But on the long side, birds can be extremely variable. Like long can be, you go from California up into Montana, or it could be California up into Canada, up into Alaska, or it could be Mexico to Alaska, or it could be South America north to North America. So it ranges from a whole hemisphere to doesn't move at all. So then let's talk about bird ranges. So birds either stay still or they move different amounts, but no matter what, they have some area where you can see them. That's called their range. So if we're talking about permanent residents like California towhees, they have this range from Baja California to Northern California, and there's other birds that are kind of similar, but every bird is a little bit different. Like some birds might keep going up into Washington. They might go into Arizona. Might like the East Coast. So the range is pretty much where it likes to be, but permanent residents are in the same range year round. Summer residents are kind of a relative term. So if you talk about one location like Bixby Marshland, and you say, is a bird a summer resident? It means that bird is in your area during breeding season. So ash-shouldered flycatchers, the north end of their range includes California, but we're not going to see them the rest of the year. But then on the other end, birds like yellow-rumped warblers are extremely uncommon. Like I've never seen one in the summertime, but they're everywhere in the winter. And then you have birds like Vox's swifts, which just migrate through. Like the north end of their range is up north, the south end of their range is in Mexico, but California is just like a stopping place. It's like you're up on I-5 on the Grapevine, and you stop at a gas station to get snacks. That's like California. They're just stopping and eating and going on through. So what does this mean for bird watchers? Well, it basically means that on days like today, where we're at the boundary of everything, you still see the permanent residents like the Cooper's hawks. There are still some winter residents, but they're getting to the point where they're leaving. They're pretty much gone, or they're leaving. There's summer residents that have shown up, like hooded orioles. And then there's days like today where there's migrants coming through, and they're almost like dripping from the trees. There's so many. And we came here 2 weeks ago, and there's birds we see today. We didn't see any 2 weeks ago. And then the nice thing is spring migration is fairly concentrated, and all the birds are in breeding plumage, and they're all singing. So everything sounds really good. The birds look really good. And so like today is a really good day to be here. So today's tour, I have this map where, let me zoom in a little bit. This is basically Bixby Marshland, and we're going to start here at the parking lot. And we've seen a lot already today in the parking lot. We're gonna go down the trail out into the seasonal grassland and the coastal sage scrub. Then we're gonna go back up to the riparian woodlands. We're gonna hang over to the wetlands, which will have ducks and herons and things like that. And then we're gonna finish up on the other side of the bridge at the other riparian area, which usually has a red-shouldered hawk living there. So we've already got some photos, which is good. But we were worried that it would be hard to take a lot of photos live. So we came here 2 weeks ago, and we spent about 4 hours bird watching. We spent about 4 hours bird watching. Let me open up this map. You can see our track here. You can see the joint plant down to the side, and you can see pretty much the path we're gonna take today. And we saw 31 species, and we could go through them right now, but I don't want to, because like the last 2 weeks, I spent the time to put them all in a presentation with photos and songs. So you're gonna be able to see all those birds. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix in some live bird watching and some photos the Genesis is gonna take. And we're also gonna show the slides and provide information. So you're gonna get a little bit of mid-April migration and a little bit of May 1st migration. So, so let's start with the parking lot. How about actually, Basil, could you show everybody what the parking lot looks like?
Nathan, stop sharing your screen so we can see the Basil's footage.
I think.
Right off the bat, I hear a lot of stuff. Well, do we know what that was?
Yeah, right now the really loud sound is a Cooper's hawk. If I stop talking, I can and listen. I'll repeat some of the birds I hear. There's a lesser goldfinch, an Anna's hummingbird. Earlier we saw at least 2 Townsend's warblers in the parking lot. We heard a western tanager, and so Genesis is. Do you have the Townsend's warbler ready?
Yeah, I literally just found this bird right now when you were talking.
Okay, so can you put it on Genesis's?
Wait.
Give her a second, but can you put it on Genesis's laptop?
Yes, as soon as I see her video, I will spotlight her. In the meantime, oh, we're almost ready. Okay.
Okay. So
She's
okay. Yeah. So this is a adult Cooper's hawk. You could see how it has reddish barring on the chest, and the head is relatively like flat and block shaped. Like kind of, it's hard to see front to back. The angle on the pictures doesn't really show the markings very well, but you can kind of tell it has the head is flat topped. There's another bird called a sharp-shinned hawk, which is very similar, and it has a more rounded head, and it's a little bit smaller with a square tail. Do you have the Townsend's warbler too? Okay. So this in the parking lot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a black-throated gray warbler. That's a definite like May 1st type of migrant. It's got this beautiful black and white pattern, and if you look right behind in front of the eye on the lores, there's this yellow patch, and there's going to be another bird we're going to show, which is called a Townsend's warbler, which is very similar, but it's like a very similar bird, but add a lot of yellow in the pattern. So we didn't see these at all 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden we showed up first thing in the morning, and we're in the parking lot, and there's two Townsend's warblers and black-throated gray warblers. So it's really a good day. I think we already have about 15 species on our list. So let me go back to the presentation right now.
In the meantime, sorry, Nathan, in the meantime, while it loads up, we do have a question. They're asking, how does the wastewater affect the marsh? And that's an excellent question. Actually, the marsh is not fed water from the Joint Water Pollution Control Plant. That is actually independent. Ooh, what was that? Yeah. Okay, I'll keep going. The Joint Water Pollution Control Plant, the wastewater does not feed the marsh. Actually, the Wilmington drain stormwater is what goes into the marsh, and the marsh actually cleans that water before it makes its way back out into the ocean. Thank you for that question. All right, Nathan, go ahead.
Sorry, I think maybe I was playing some of the sounds from this presentation while you were talking. So can you hear that Ennis hummingbird?
I heard a little bird like a couple seconds ago.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an Anna's hummingbird. Almost always there's a Anna's hummingbird near the front gate on one of the bushes. And, it's a year-round resident, and you can see it has the males have this magenta gorget, which is these feathers on the face that are iridescent. So that's a fairly common, one of the main hummingbird species in California. We also heard and saw a black phoebe 2 weeks ago and today. These are year-round residents, and can you hear Maria? Can you hear the sound?
Um,
Can you hear the sound?
I hear something. Sounds like a low rumble, kind of.
Let me refresh this. Let me refresh the app. That way I can just play it right when we want to hear it. So, okay. You hear that?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so that's a black phoebe. It's a year-round resident. It's probably one of the most identifiable birds you're going to see. It's black above and white below with this kind of chevron on its chest. And you'll hear it, and it'll have two notes, one that goes da-da, and the next one that goes da-da. And you can see that in this spectrogram here. That's what this spectrogram is like. It's like a recording of the bird's call, but they break it down into different frequencies, like high pitches, low pitches. So you can see if it's like crows, like ravens are really have a deep voice like me, and then other birds have really high pitched sounds. But you can see how it that last note has like a trill in it. We saw today and last week, we saw an American crow, which you're pretty familiar with. We also saw a common raven. Now, if you're trying to tell the difference between these two, crows are kind of a small to medium sized like bird, and they're a medium sized bird, and the tail is kind of fan shaped, and the bill is kind of thick, but not too thick. But when you go over to the crows, the ravens act very different. They're noticeably bigger, like 50% bigger, and the tail has this kind of diamond shape where it's pointy at the tip. And see how the wings bend, and it's just really powerful. Like right now in this time of year, you'll usually see common ravens paired up together, and they're breeding. But common ravens act a lot kind of like crows usually. And then Genesis already showed you the Cooper's hawk. I'll play you the sound. So the Cooper's hawk has this sound, and if you look at the thing, it's about like 6 or so caws in a second. So later on, when we're over listening to the red-shouldered hawk, it's going to do something like similar, but it won't be as fast. So we'll play that sound, and then you'll see it. So let's and what we can find along the way. The next spot is like a seasonal grassland, so the birds will change, but let's see if we can find any more warblers on the way, and um, let's do some actual live bird watching. So let's see. While we're walking, can you do sound? Okay. Genesis has a microphone that she's going to try to use to record some of these calls while we're walking through. Some
And folks, for those of you guys wondering when we're walking, when Bixby opens in person, you would be able to, we would have a docent on site that can do a guided tour for you, or you could do your own tour here. So that's kind of what the experience that we're actually getting the best of both worlds right now. Don't forget to put your questions on the chat if you have any.
So I hear a black phoebe over there, and while we're walking, we heard some common yellowthroats. Things were a little more active earlier before we got here, but the common yellowthroats kind of go witchity, witchity, witchity. Kind of they go up and down, up and down. And that sound right there, that little kind of loud chip, like chip, that's down in these bushes. That's a common yellowthroat. So so Genesis showed you a Townsend's warbler, which is a really good bird, and she showed you the black-throated gray warbler, which is a really good bird. So anything we see that's not in the presentation, we'll make sure I'll make sure we put it on, look it up in All About Birds, and we look it up in All About Birds and show you the picture and the sound.
Nathan, I just found a bird. It's coming up.
Genesis. Sorry.
I just found a bird. It's coming right up.
Okay, we're communicating. So Genesis got a bird, and she's uploading it right now. So we're gonna give it a second.
That's good. In the meantime, in the meantime, somebody had a question. Mary had a question. When will the marsh open? We will be sure to post it on all our social media channels and our website, www.lacsd.org Bixby. I will put that in the channel. we'll make the announcement when Bixby is open. It is still closed. So that's why I asked in the beginning is how did you hear about us? Because that lets us know which is the best channel to make that announcement when the time comes. Thank you, Mary.
House finch. Okay, so Genesis found a house finch and she's getting it on her screen. So yeah, this is definitely a house finch. See how it has like a reddish chest and a reddish head? The rest of the body is basically kind of brown with brown streaks. And this is one of the birds we're gonna see in the savanna, this drier part where the grasslands are. And you can actually hear it. I can hear an Allen's or a Rufous hummingbird right now. But sorry, I got to stay close to the MiFi. So I was getting ahead of the MiFi. So yeah. I guess let me present while we're on our way, and I'll show some of those birds that we're gonna see in the savannah area. So you can actually kind of hear one right now. And so that's the recorded one, but they're kind of floating around in the background. I don't know if you can hear one, but there's actually one that just started singing after we played that song. Another bird we're gonna see we might see is a white-crowned sparrow. We saw one of these about 2 weeks ago, and so we were talking about winter residents. Like this is a winter resident. You can see how the range is blue like in California. So that means we only see it in wintertime, and they're getting ready to move north. So pretty soon you won't be able to see them anymore. There's house wrens in this area, which have this really elaborate call. And this is the same bird. The house finch is the same bird Genesis saw. So you can hear it. It's very melodious. It kind of goes up and down, and it's very pretty. But the bird's basically just a pretty simple, brown bird with streaks on it, and it's a year-round resident. So let's do a little bit of bird watching right here, and we'll see what we can find on the way over there. There's a lot of sounds right now. I just heard a common yellowthroat. That's the witchetty witchetty sound. There's some really light calls from lesser goldfinches. We just heard a song sparrow right there. Okay, so let's keep going. So I just heard this like really interesting sound. I just heard this really interesting sound. And if you look way up in the air, about 50 feet up in the air, is this Anna's hummingbird. And it goes up and down like in this big U shape. And basically, if you've seen this enough times, you'll pay attention and you'll notice that right at the bottom of the U on some sort of bush or tree is usually like a female, is usually a female bird, a female Anna's hummingbird. And so the male, what he'll do is he goes way up in the air about 50 feet, and then he comes down as fast as he can, and then he does a U-turn, and right as he flips around, like his feathers make this like almost like a popping sound. And it might be hard to capture, but he's about to do it again, and he just did it, but he basically went like it goes like a weird popping sound. So sorry about all the difficulties with the video and everything, but wow, just some Canada geese, just 4 Canada geese just flew over, and while I was talking too much, there was a red-shouldered hawk over in that dead tree, and it's hard to see. It's very hard to show on the video, but the hummingbird is doing the U thing, kind of in the direction Baz is. Oh, and you can see two of them. So maybe I wasn't. Maybe it's just maybe it's not a breeding thing. Maybe it's like a guys fighting against guys thing. But there's definitely a lot of birds here. Let me try to put my eyes on them and actually get you something that's not in the presentation. There's a blue Cornell hummingbird right there. So we just saw like right here in this bush. We're gonna have a picture of the slideshow of that.
Nathan, can you repeat that? We can't really quite hear you.
Sorry, I'm inexperienced and I got touched on my audio source. So we saw either a Rufus or an Allen's hummingbird, and then there was a bush tit, and the bush tit is basically the first bush tit we've talked about, you know, here on the tour. We saw a bunch earlier today, and we have some bush tits in the presentation with the little sounds. So bush tits are like these little tiny birds, little cute tiny birds, and they fly around in little flocks, and they kind of go tweet tweet tweet. They make this little cute sound, and then they make these nests that are like balls, kind of like a hanging ball or basket, and it has a little hole at the top, and so they're definitely one of the cute little birds of the bird world. And you hear this other really loud one. It's going to be in the presentation too. It's called a California towhee. I hear there's a lot of warblers along the water's edge and in these willows. So let me hold the audio with one hand and birdwatch with the other. So because I want to see if we can find some good birds for you to show you on the screen.
In the meantime, we have a question. Someone asked, besides birds, what other animals live in the marsh, in this marsh? Do you know, Ethan?
We did see a raccoon this morning.
Well, if I can point out before you answer, is that there's also, if you like to see insects and bugs, there's tons of opportunities here. We've actually had somebody who's a nature photographer have amazing pictures. I don't even know off the top of my head, but we've definitely seen raccoons. What was the other one? Little bunnies, right? Rabbits? Nathan?
Yeah, cottontails.
Cottontails,
And then, yeah,
exactly.
cottontails,
No
and
turtles.
there's coyotes here.
We don't have turtles. We don't have big fish,
There's
just
turtle.
small fish. That's right. No turtles. We're not gonna find alligators here either. So a lot of people ask that also.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, the goal for today was to focus on birds just because it's such a good time of year to do it. But yeah, I have seen the slideshows from other presentations, and there's like dozens and dozens and dozens of different types of insects, like darners and flies and bees and other things here. But so we just saw a northern ruffling swallow fly over, and that's in the presentation too. So so let's start moving. Okay, right there was a yellow warbler. It goes kind of like sweet, sweet, sweet. I'm so sweet. Well, it doesn't sound like that, but we got this song in the presentation, so you'll hear it. But those are summer residents here. But
Nathan, I'm gonna post a link to the presentation right now, so before the end of before the end of our tour, so everybody has access to it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we just had a yellow warbler, and I'm working on a checklist for today. So the checklist for today, I'll add, maybe when we're done today, I'll just go in and plug that checklist into the presentation too. So there's definitely a lot of bush tits right here. Let me put my laptop down.
What you guys are seeing right now is the California brittle bush, which is it's a really popular plant, like local plant. And here we have a bunch of them here in Bixby Marshland. It looks like a little tiny sunflower, and it blooms twice a year. So I'm actually quite happy to see one. I believe last time we did our April tour, we didn't see as many as we do today.
There's a snowy egret flying over right now. I don't know if you can kind of see it on Bowser's phone. So if you look really close, it's a heron. It's kind of like a small to medium-sized heron, and it's got a black bill and black legs with yellow feet. So it's just kind of cruising around about 100 or more feet up in the air. So let's go into the riparian woodland in a little bit. Once Basil still has a good shot at the great egret, but so yeah, let's start going to the riparian woodland, because there were a lot of warblers there today. So when we get there, I'll show you some. Genesis has some pictures of warbling vireos. Okay. Actually, let me finish up my presentation from the last spot. I have seen barn swallows today, and so let's play the sound for that. Yeah, it's kind of chattery. It's like, but the barn swallow, it's kind of navy blue black above, but it has this long forked tail with little white spots, little white circles in it. And it's kind of a
Nathan,
chestnut color below.
do you want to share your screen with us, or are you not?
Oh, sorry, I thought. I was sworn I pressed start broadcast. I must have unstopped it.
It's going right now.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, it was can you hear that? Yeah, there's a hummingbird like right above our heads. But so the barn swallow, it's kind of this. I said what it looks like, but see how it's navy blue with a long forked tail and white spots, and it's got this kind of chestnut color underneath, and the forehead's kind of chestnut too. So if you go to the next one though, we saw these 2 weeks ago, and it's called a cliff swallow, and it's basically um, it's it's very similar but more brown, but it's got the chestnut, but it has this reddish tawny color on the rump, on the tail, on right up on its butt, and then it has a little cream colored patch on its forehead. And when let's play that song again. See how it's really staticky? It just sounds kind of like you're turning the channel on a radio. So these guys, if you like in Riverside where I live, they have a big 2-story gym at the park. And these guys like going up under the eaves of buildings and making these mud nests like on a cliff. And they just have these little balls with openings, and they have hundreds of them next to each other. So we didn't see one today, but 2 weeks ago we saw a Redwing Blackbird. Yeah, so so they have that interesting distinct call. So if you see a blackbird, doesn't always have to be just a regular brewer's blackbird. It might be one of these ones with red wings, and usually see them like associated with water, but not always. But I've seen like thousands of these at the San Jacinto Wildlife Area. So let's have Basil show the let me stop broadcasting, and let's have Basil show what the habitat looks like. There's just a lot of, like right here is a gigantic cottonwood with willows and mule fat and oaks, and there are a lot of really good sounds in here. So it's going to be kind of tricky. We're going to want to birdwatch this area, but there's a really interesting bird that's warbling above us. But and we saw some really good birds in here this morning. But let me just cover the slides because they're good stuff. And so this first bird is an orange crown warbler. You can kind of we have a lot of yellow birds. So this one's kind of light yellow below with like a olive above, and we see a lot of them in the wintertime. But right now we're also seeing a lot of them just migrating through. And we've been talking about common yellowthroats. Remember when I said that thing like witchity, witchity, witchity? See how on the song it goes like up and down, like da, 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 like it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But it had like the males have this black face mask with a yellow throat and white behind the yellow mask. And these are year-round residents. Now the bush tits, these are those little tiny birds we saw. So you can hear that, you can hear the little cute sound they make. These are usually seen in like flocks of birds. This bird is either a rufous hummingbird or Allen's hummingbird. I'm not the most advanced bird watcher, and based on my knowledge, you should be very careful to identify rufous hummingbirds and Allen's hummingbirds during migration, because they're very similar. It's like if you look at like rufous hummingbirds can vary from very red to kind of red and green, and Allen's hummingbirds are usually kind of red and green, and there's so much overlap that it's hard to really identify the two during migration. See how the rufous hummingbirds, the range is yellow? That means they're just migrating through. But then when you get to Allen's hummingbirds, there's basically a year-round population of them. You can kind of see it. It's very hard to see, but it's purple. Right around this area, there's a year-round population. So one of the best ways to identify them is actually like with the tail feathers, but we don't have that. There are some really good birds right now. I just heard a western tanager. Well, I'll make sure I bring that up. This is a hooded oriole, which is a summer resident. You might be familiar with this sound. This is a really good bird we saw last week, and this is Genesis's good photo. This is called a Nashville warbler. So see how it's basically migrating through too, and it has this really nice call, like up down, up down, up down, up down, da 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 da, and then so this one's really pretty. It's kind of yellow below with a black with a grayish head and olive back. This is a cute picture that Genesis took of a Wilson's warbler, and it looked like it was staring right at us when she took the photo. But it's more of like a golden yellow with a black head, and this is one of those birds you only see during migration. So we saw a few this morning, and this is kind of why you come during migrations, because you.
Actually, Nathan, if you don't mind me saying, I just want to point out to our viewers that all the pictures that you've shown in your presentation were taken at Bixby Marshland. So
That's not true.
what?
That's not true. Like wherever we had a good photo from Bixby, we used that. But then some of them we are from like All About Birds. So we were trying to. We wanted to show. We wanted you to see what it looks like, but we didn't have enough good photos for the presentation. So,
Then we'll
but
be sure.
I guess the important thing is that we saw all the.
That's true. So I'll be sure that what we post on Facebook today is pictures of Bixby that were taken at Bixby. Okay, just so that our friends out there can know kind of what what they could see from here, from their point of view. Did I just hear some?
So there are some Canada geese. There are Canada geese flying through. Maybe we can. I would not be surprised if the Canada geese are at the bridge right now. I guess let's go that way because sounds like the Canada geese are over here near the wetlands. Um, I mean, if people are interested, I'm willing to spend as much time bird watching and then trying to point out the photos to Genesis, or we can just take the photos after the presentation and send them out. Um, that's kind of why we came here 2 weeks ago, is because we could get all the photos, as many photos together as possible. So, yes.
This is the famous bridge. This is the water that everybody thinks of Bixby Marshland. So yay, we're here.
So do you see? Okay, good.
Are those?
Yeah, so those are the two Canada geese that just landed. While you're enjoying those, let me check out the warblers right here. And then Genesis, do you get the warbling video ready?
Well, we're here watching the Canada geese and we're looking at the tules. I just want to point out that tules are amazing plants. I mean, they have so many uses for people. One of the cool things that they have is that the tules, you know, they've adapted to live in marshlands. So normally a plant takes in oxygen from the roots, like the soil closest to the roots. But tules can actually soak it in from the stem, so from the green part, and the stem can go into like even 2 feet underwater. So this plant is meant to be in the water and has adapted over time. So many animals use it for habitats, and people have used it over the years to make like baskets and all kinds of stuff. So tules are definitely one of my favorite things to see here.
So I'm gonna get some, when you're ready, I've got a warbling video ready. If you're enjoying your Canada goose, that's fine. But Genesis, we saw some warbling videos this morning, and I got the website up for those.
Sorry, Nathan, you may have mentioned, are these permanent or are these like migrant?
These are, I think these are residents. I'm a little uncertain because I live in Riverside, and I don't always birdwatch enough, but I think some of them do spend the summer here. I don't want to overstate that, but usually a lot of the Canada geese go north. But I think this is one of those areas where they're year round.
For our folks out there, I'll be putting a link to our Bixby broadcast. You definitely want to check out the January 2021 live broadcast because the Canada geese were right on the bridge. So you can actually see them standing up. They're quite tall, so I'll make sure I'll put that in the link right now.
So there's yellow warbler. I'm hearing yellow warblers, song sparrows. Let me show you. Let me show you this warbling vireo. So it's kind of this really subtle bird. You know, it has this. Vireos have what they're called spectacles, and this one's a little bit different, but it has like a white line above its eye, and it's mostly kind of like grayish and with a little bit of yellow. And you can see how this is also, you can see how this is also a migrant. mean, based on the map, it might actually be here year round, but I've almost like I've never seen one except for migrations. That I just have to go by my personal experience, but some of the other docents have a lot more bird watching experience. But so let's go to the sounds.
I just took some photos of the geese. Did you want me to share them?
Yeah. So we saw. I mean, I'm presenting right now. Let me.
So
I'm
did
gonna I'm gonna stop
Genesis,
presenting and let. Yeah.
so right now we're seeing Genesis screen. Genesis, did you just take these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe
That's
people in our listening to us at home can type in what they think it is. I don't know what it is. So use the chat.
Nathan's itching to identify this one.
Let's give our folks a chance to participate.
itching. I already know what it is. So.
I don't know what
So-
it is. I want to know what it is.
You're eager to tell us.
I think
No,
we
I-
have a few.
I
I think we have a few shy guests. I don't see anything coming in the chat. Nathan, can you tell us what it is?
Oh, it's a California towhee.
Towhee?
It's kind of hidden, but yeah, towhee. Towhee.
Is that
So
something? Is that a migrant bird or a
well,
something
it's a
year round?
year-round resident. It's yeah, it's in the presentation. It's in the presentations. I can show you
Oh.
another one. We saw this about 2 weeks ago.
Mary
It's pretty
says
much in the.
Mary from our joint watching us live says come on Toadie. That's what you said. Yay, congratulations, Mary. It's how big is it? I'm trying to get some perspective.
I mean, I could look it up, but it's probably like the size. It's like the size of a mockingbird, probably like 8 inches or so. It's not. It's bigger than like a sparrow. It's a lot bigger than a regular sparrow, but or a warbler, but it's not like a crow. It's like somewhere in between closer to a sparrow than a crow. Like think like mockingbird. That's a bush tit.
The bush tit that we saw when Nathan was talking about it.
Yeah, so that's the one from earlier.
Oh, those are the geese that were there right now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Those are the ducks that are at the pond.
Yeah, those are the geese. So it's not impossible. Oh God, I don't want to screw this one up. It looks like a lesser goldfinch, but I gotta double check to be sure.
Maybe Mary can help us. Mary, maybe you have maybe you want to chime in, or anybody else who wants to chime in. Don't be shy.
I'm just a little worried. I'm pretty sure it's a lesser goldfinch, but I'm a little worried because that white patch. I want to make sure that the white patch makes sense. And the picture's not the. I mean, it's kind of from the. It's kind of from the back, so it's not. It'd be a lot easier, kind of at the side.
Folks, we're trying our hardest to show you guys some birds, which is a great way to start May. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Let's go over here and try to get this bird. Do you want to try the sounds? Oh, we just saw a double crested cormorant. So let me present. Did you try to find that bird over there? That one. So let me try to present again, and I'm gonna go down to the internet, which is so over back in the corner. like on the north side of the bridge, back hidden behind us, was a doubled crested cormorant. You see these a lot along the ocean, but you see them inland too, on like lakes and ponds and things like that. So it's a diving bird. Like they dive and eat fish. So I'll definitely once we have time to, at the very end, once I'm sitting in the car, I'll put together all the I'll put all the birds in eBird, and I'll have one for here it comes. Genesis, can you get that one? The double crested cormorant, yeah. So the double crested cormorant's kind of flew by, and now it's kind of swimming past.
Stop sharing
But
your
I'll try to put all the I'll try to do take all the birds from today and put it in the checklist, and then add it to the presentation.
So for those of you joining
Uh,
us today, I'll make sure that I'll email you guys the link afterwards. That way you guys have access to this. So everything that Nathan's shown, and he will have on the updated list.
yeah, so I'm gonna put it up towards the top where it says eBird checklist. So this picture is Genesis's, and then so this is, we've been hearing yellow warblers, and I'll play this song. So
Nathan, sorry, we have a question from Dorothy. She wants to know, what is the best bird ID app for beginners?
gosh, I'd have to just give the default answer, which is like Merlin. Like the Cornell University in New York has a laboratory of ornithology. It's called the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology, and they've invested a lot in bird research. So recently, in the last 10 or 15 years, they've been creating all sorts of online and application-based tools. So one of them is called Merlin. So Merlin's a type of falcon, like a black falcon, and so Merlin's is good for identifying birds. But I haven't really used it because I started bird watching a long time ago, and I'm not into it enough that I like have gotten like spend my time on. I always just pull out my bird book, you know.
Thank you, Nathan.
Incoming bird.
There are eBird. So eBird is how they keep track of people's bird checklists. So you can go online, or you can use an app on your phone, and you can it'll track your GPS on your phone and keep track of where you went, and you can type in the name of the bird, and it'll look it up, and you can put how many you saw, and then it just keeps track of it for you. Like back in the day, I had this little book where I would, like a drawing book, and I would fill out everything I saw, like a field book, and now that's all kind of, you can just do it with eBird. And then what's really nice is that they take all that data and they put it in, they use it for science. So you can see other people's birds and they can see yours. And so when people see rare birds, like it's very easy to just go online like tonight and say, oh, there's a rare bird like in Madrona Marsh or things like that. So eBird is for your checklists. A really good field guide is the Sibley Field Guide to Birds. And I think there might have, I even found another app. I'll try to show it to you. Actually, I can show it to you right now.
Actually, can we talk a little bit? What's the bird that we see on the screen? Genesis, you just took this picture, right?
Yeah.
Do we know what bird it is, Nathan?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, that's a double-crested cormorant. That's the one I was talking about. It's really crazy. It looks like its eye is like blue.
Blue?
I don't know if I've ever seen one that's blue. Maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not. But
Is that the animal that's making the noise right now?
But no, that's the Canada geese taking off.
Oh,
Um, Genesis is gonna work on another one right now.
It's uploading right now.
Genesis is uploading a snowy egret just landed. What? Okay, could you show Basil's screen?
Basil's on the bridge, but the video's frozen. So just give it a minute. Oh, there we go. Okay.
The video's frozen. Okay, there it is.
No, it is. It's right there. So we're looks a little weird, but
Okay, Genesis. Yeah, see, this is part of the problem. Like the phone can only see so much. So if you look at there's a little white speck in the middle, and you would probably never be able to see it. So Genesis took a photo and she's uploading right now.
that's okay. We're trying our best to give people maybe. Oh, I see it. It's right there in the middle. It's moving. We're trying to give our folks the best experience. So maybe when they join us in person, maybe they'll know, the kind of things they can look forward to.
So it's really pretty though. It's a snowy egret. It's a snowy egret, and Genesis is
It's
about
right there. I see it. I see. Well, I see a little blurb moving. But oh, okay. Genesis has the exciting look for us.
And definitely the reality here at Bixby is that God, it's really close now. Genesis is gonna take another photo. Okay. Oh man, Genesis. Well, you can see it, but
Oh, there it is.
it flew even closer. So Genesis is getting better photos. But that's a snowy egret. See how the bill is black? It's not too big. It's like a small heron. Actually, while we're at it, somebody asked, why is an egret? What's the difference between an egret and a heron? So I had to research this. So there's this French word called egret, Aigrette, and it basically it's the word for the really long like feather, the plumes on the snowy egret. Like right now, where I'm standing, you can see like kind of starting at the head all the way down to the tail. There are these like long feathers that grow in the breeding season, and so those feathers, they're really beautiful. So it used to be that in the 1800s or who knows earlier than that, but they would shoot the herons. They would shoot the herons and use the feathers for like women's hats. Um, so that's kind of sad. But they killed like huge amounts of these egrets. So they're basically herons, but like the herons that have these plumes, they call egrets, and then the ones that don't, they just call like herons. But they're here at the marshland. I've seen great blue herons, great egrets. I guess
I'm uploading the photo right now.
Genesis is uploading the photo. While she's doing that, let me show. Okay, sorry. Keep it on Basil.
Yeah, we're seeing the egret.
Oh, you saw it?
It's flying away or kind of went towards the water.
Okay, so so go to Genesis's screen.
She's sharing. Oh, there it is.
And it was really close, maybe about 30 feet away. And it was feeding. You can kind of see how those like feathers are starting to form in the hair, in the back of the head and the tail. That's what those are the egret feathers. So they pretty much had to like stop people from shooting egrets, and then the populations came back.
They can live here at Bixby where they'll be safe. We have a question from Dorothy. She wants to know what camera or lens is Genesis using to capture these amazing photos. Genesis?
I'm using a starter kit. It's a Canon Rebel T6. And the lens is a 75 to 300 millimeter lens. So there are definitely a lot higher end lenses and cameras out there, which is why some of these photos aren't.
Genesis, me and Genesis have been talking about starting a GoFundMe page so she can get a fancier camera, but it does pretty, it works pretty well. I mean, if you're up close, like look how good it is. But like the people who are
So I'm hoping Basil and Nathan can fund.
Maybe
the
you guys can
lens.
put it in the chat how much you support Genesis getting her camera. I'm sure all our folks out there appreciate your effort, guys. I know we're trying really hard to get these birds. And wow, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. These photos are amazing. So we're all rooting for you guys. We definitely thank you for giving us this nature.
it's just it's like I'll give an example. When I started bird watching with my dad's Sears 10 by 40 binoculars, and they were really well made and they were pretty good. But like later on, when I went on a bird watching vacation, like 15 years ago, and I was with this guide, and he was showing me the birds, and I was looking way up at the top of this pine tree, and he was saying, can you see this? Can you see this color on its face? I said, no, all I see is the glare from the sun. And he said, no, here, use my binoculars. And it's like all of a sudden it went from like couldn't see anything to everything was clear as day. And so that's when I decided I better go buy some expensive binoculars. But my binoculars are like the camera Genesis wants. So, and I don't have a camera. So yeah, there's a big difference between like, okay, like a good, okay, and great, like a camera, but
Okay, we just found a little blackbird that it was really pretty far away, so I'm not sure if Nathan will be able to distinguish it.
well, I know what it was. But, you want to get it on there now?
Yeah, so
Let
I'm
me.
about to share.
About to share. Okay. The Genesis is done sharing. I'll keep going with some of the slides from the Riparian Woodland and the song sparrow if you want to get it.
You guys see that?
Yes, we do. It's a little black bird with the chevron on the chest. I feel like Nathan told me what this was and I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but at least you remembered how to identify it.
Yes,
Except
I
for the name.
remember.
For the name part.
Little black bird with the white little V thing on it. That's what I call it.
The black
Phoebe.
that's a black.
Dorothy says Phoebe.
It's a black Phoebe.
Oh, there we go. Dorothy
what
gets
kind
the
of
gold star.
what kind of bird is that?
Dorothy said Phoebe.
No, I mean, I guess I should be more specific. What type of bird is it?
Is it just me or does Nathan sound a little competitive?
No, not.
I don't know. Who's he asking? I don't know. Like a migrant bird? A migrant bird? Is that what you're asking?
No, it's a flycatcher. So,
Oh.
So there's a lot of different sizes and of flycatchers, but phoebes they perch on branches and then they fly away and they go get like bugs and then they come back and they land and they do this all day long until they're full and rest and they want to rest. And so we had in our slideshow we have at least 3 different types of flycatchers. So let me go back to the slides, not the slides, but the story map, because there's I got some more flycatchers in there. Um, so we saw this yellow warbler, which you can actually hear one right now. This is a.
We can't see your screen yet. I think it's blank.
Oh,
Let's give it a minute.
okay. You see it yet?
I hear a lot of birds though.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a song sparrow. There's a yellow warbler. There's some warblers I need to go look at. So what we will do is we'll try to keep bird watching when we're done and just send the photos, because I'd hate to like not see all these birds today, but
I got another bird for you coming up.
okay, can you see my screen yet?
It's black for me. Sorry.
Not yet. It still says. Get rid of it and then.
We're gonna stop sharing. I mean, if you want, you could also like bring it up if you still have it. But let me. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we're sharing. We're just waiting for you to upload. While it's coming up, we got some encouraging words from Dorothy, who says she loves all the activity sounds. The sounds are lively enough without the visuals. So thank you. All right.
Oh, we're
Oh, Nathan,
plugged in.
we
Are
see
you
your
running
screen.
right now? Okay. Okay, so this is a yellow warbler. This is the California towhee that Genesis took a picture of earlier, and makes that kind of sound. If you can hear that sound that bird that's going, da-da, da, that's the black phoebe. So these birds, we saw some flying over today. And I hope that doesn't break your ears, because that sound just about like broke my ears when I played it. These are a really, really pretty bird called a cedar waxwing, and they have this beautiful crest. And if you see them from the back, they have like it looks like a red blob of wax on the wings. And you'll see them in the wintertime flying over in this like little flock that kind of bounces up and down. So these are like one of the most pretty birds, but a lot of people don't know anything about them. So this is speaking of flycatchers. This is a really big flycatcher. So this is an ash-throated flycatcher, and it basically comes here in the summertime, and it's pretty big, maybe 8 or 9 inches long, and it has this little cool red patch in the red on the feathers. And when we saw it last week, it had a gigantic butterfly in its mouth. Um, um, so now we're in the part of the presentation where we're actually standing. So we're kind of caught up. This is a great egret that I saw 2 weeks ago, and so it's much bigger than it's like almost the size of it's not as big as a great blue heron, but almost as big. Well, it's like between the size of a snowy egret and a great blue heron, but it has an orangish bill and black legs. And so this bird, the snowy egret, is the one that Genesis took a picture of. So see how it has a black bill, black legs, and orange feet, yellowish feet. This is a bird Genesis took a photo of last time, and it was sitting over kind of in the same area we're pointing right now, and back in the corner. It was there for a good hour or two, just doing nothing. But it's called a black-crowned night heron. These, of course, are the mallards. I think I did see some mallards earlier, so we're gonna have to add that to the checklist. And that's a male and that's a female. I can give you the quacky sound if you want. We can give you the quacking if you want. This is a northern ruffling swallow, so it's another type of swallow that's more brown and kind of light underneath. And the snowy egret just flew over. So last week, no, 2 weeks ago, there was just a whole flock of these flying down low over the water, eating like bugs off the water. And then this is kind of where we're going. So right on this island next to us is a red-shouldered hawk. See how it kind of caws? Like it goes kee kee kee, but it's not as fast as the Cooper's hawk is. So there's usually some red-shouldered hawks in this little island. We saw these boxes swifts that are basically they're like swallows, but they're kind of smaller and with really long pointy wings, and they fly. Usually you tend to see them high above, and and right now we're only seeing them because they're migrating through. So if you're in the dead of summer, in the heat of summer, you're not going to see this guy. And then this is a third type of flycatcher. So there's a whole family of flycatchers called kingbirds that are kind of yellow and gray, and they look like this. And this one has these two white outer tail feathers. So that lets you know that it's a western kingbird. So I see a swift right now flying over. But let me play this sound. So if you ever look up in some palm trees and there's a lot of crazy racket up at the top and you hear that sound, it's probably a western kingbird. I know we could probably go on forever, and I mean I would, but I guess we're already half an hour over, so it's probably time to let everyone go. But we'll try to keep bird watching and send all the extra photos that we find, and I'll try to work on the bird list and get it all complete, and so you can kind of see everything from today and the last 2 weeks. So I'm guessing we were 31 last time. I'm guessing we'll be over 30 today, and between the two, we're probably like 40 to 45 different species. So it's pretty good for a little tiny area. So let me stop broadcasting.
Yeah, and maybe we can all say
Goodbye.
say goodbye. Show your faces, everybody. Maybe we can catch Basil and Genesis. Basil, so we can see the faces behind. There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Nathan, Genesis, and Basil, and everybody who tuned in. We'll be sure to drop off put our pictures in the text on Facebook. I've put the channels, everything on the chat, and I just want to say thank you so much. Our next tour will be the first Saturday of May here in Bixby, so make sure, whichever way you found us, you check again. And with that, thank you. Goodbye.